As the secret girlfriend of the Crown Prince of Jiangshi's elite circle, I had never shown my face in front of the media. When the trending topic that Chloe, the daughter of the Qin family, was his fiancée topped the list, I was having a medical checkup in the hospital. "Congratulations, madam. You have been pregnant for 2 months." After leaving the hospital, Chloe, the daughter of the Qin family, stood in front of me. "This is a check for 10 million yuan. Leave Jiangshi forever." I got on the plane to Haishi without taking any luggage. 3 years later, at Haishi Airport. "Wendy, stop right there." I met his cold and terrifying eyes. "Sir, you've got the wrong person." Unexpectedly, he hugged me into his arms and said, "Don't disappear, okay?"
Welcome to listen to my full sweet love series novel. I'm the blogger and I'm Twilight's novel. Now let's start the main story.
As the secret girlfriend of the Crown Prince of Jiangshi's elite circle, I had never shown my face in front of the media. Half a year after being with Felix, I went to the hospital for a medical checkup. "Congratulations, madam. You have been pregnant for 2 months." Standing at the hospital gate, the doctor's words echoed in my ears. I took out my mobile phone, wanting to call Felix and ask him what to do. I was pregnant before marriage. Then I saw the top trending topic on Jiangshi's hot list that day. Chloe, the daughter of the Qin family, and Felix, the young master of the Fu family, will tie the knot, a strong alliance. On the day I found out I was pregnant, he actually announced his fiancée. And that fiancée wasn't me. "Are you Wendy?" Suddenly, a well-dressed woman stood in front of me. "Who are you?" "I'm Felix's fiancée, Chloe. I believe you've seen the media reports." The way this woman looked at me made me feel very uncomfortable. "So what?" I folded the medical checkup report in my hand and put it in my pocket. "This is a check for 10 million yuan. Leave Jiangshi forever." She held her chin high, and the arrogant look in her eyes really made me unhappy. I reached out to take the check and looked at the string of zeros on it. What an insult. You can't earn this much money in your whole life. Take the money, leave Jiangshi, and never come back. She looked me up and down with a contemptuous look. "Someone like me?" "Yes, someone like you who can't be put on the stage. How can you be worthy of young Master Felix?" "Ah!" Slap. I slapped Chloe across the face with the 10 million yuan check. 10 million yuan for a lesson. Miss Chloe should think it's worth it, right? Before she could react, I opened the door of a Maybach by the side of the road and drove away. "Miss? How did you know?" The driver looked shocked. "You've been following me for half a year. Take a vacation. Go to the airport. I'm going home." If he can't even handle this trivial matter, what's the point of being the Crown Prince of Jiangshi? I'm done playing this game. My home is in Haishi, far away from Jiangshi. 7 or 8 months ago, I returned from studying abroad in France. The moment I met Felix at Haishi Airport, my eyes suddenly lit up. How could a man have such a good-looking and aesthetic face? Could this be love at first sight? I saw that the destination on the plane ticket in his hand was Jiangshi. So I came here. Meeting Felix again was really a legendary coincidence and fate. That night, it rained heavily. So heavily that even the cars on the road were barely visible. A blue car stopped at the entrance of the mall, which was the special color of Jiangshi taxis. "Hello, go to Jianglai Hotel." After getting in the car, I realized it wasn't a taxi at all. "I'm sorry." I felt a little embarrassed and apologized. "Felix, you're my savior. If you hadn't come, I couldn't have escaped." Before I could finish speaking, another man got into the passenger seat. Suddenly, he also noticed me sitting in the back row. "You, girlfriend?" The man in the passenger seat looked at me in shock. No. It's a misunderstanding." I waved my hand in a hurry. I wanted to say that I got in the wrong car. But when I looked at the driver's seat, I met those black eyes. "Wah! I've searched high and low for you, and here you are." The one driving was actually the ascetic and cold man I met at the airport. "So his name is Felix." I murmured his name in my heart. "Get out of the car." It was the first time I heard his voice. Cold. Boom! Suddenly, there was a flash of lightning and a clap of thunder outside. "I'm sorry. It's raining so hard that I thought it was a taxi." "Nonsense. How does my limited edition color look like a Jiangshi taxi?" The man in the passenger seat objected. While speaking, another passerby ran over to hail the car. When he walked to the window, he realized it wasn't a taxi. The passerby raised his hand to apologize. See? It's really easy to mistake it. I carefully looked at the man in the driver's seat. His face was as cold as an iceberg as always. Boom! Boom! The rain became heavier. Accompanied by even heavier thunderstorms, the man in the driver's seat stepped on the accelerator and drove off. Gavin, throw away this broken car. Broken car? Do you know how much I spent on this car? More than 10 million yuan. I finally got my old man to agree to buy it. Hey, the person in the back hasn't gotten out of the car yet? Are you sure you don't know each other? More than 10 minutes later, at Jiangshi Hotel, the man in the driver's seat opened the door and got out of the car. He looked cold and handsome in a suit and leather shoes. I liked him more and more the more I looked at him. Miss, may I have your name? Gavin in the passenger seat looked like a playboy with a philandering look. Thank you. I didn't answer him, opened the door and followed that tall figure into the hotel. But he was gone. I sat in the hotel lobby and looked at the people coming and going. I didn't see him anywhere. Felix rarely comes to the cocktail party this time. You must seize the opportunity. Behind me, a mother and daughter passed by. I happened to overhear this sentence. Is the man I have my eye on going to be snatched by someone else? Suddenly, I had a plan in mind. Not just anyone can get into the cocktail party. I didn't have an invitation to the cocktail party, so I was no exception. So I spent a lot of money to buy a duty uniform from a female server on duty. After changing into the uniform, I walked inside with a wine tray in my hand, without blushing or feeling guilty. In the crowd, I finally found that figure. Beauty, have a drink. A drunk middle-aged man blocked my way. I'm sorry, I'm a staff member and can't drink. Oh, you won't drink? Do you believe I can make your boss fire you? The middle-aged man smelled terrible and kept approaching me. I really wanted to slap the wine tray in my hand on his face. But I couldn't do it now. If something happened, I would have to ask my brother who was far away in Haishi to deal with it. At that time, where would I get my freedom? Either I would be sent back to France to study hard, or I would be taken home to inherit the family business. I don't want that. I looked at the wine in the middle-aged man's hand. It was the fruity wine I had been holding just now. It should have a low alcohol content. Is this okay? I took the wine glass and drank it in one go. A trace of triumph flashed in the middle-aged man's eyes, which I didn't see. When I felt something was wrong, my whole body started to feel uncomfortable. So hot. I suddenly realized that there was something wrong with that glass of wine. I have to leave quickly. I pinched my thigh hard to keep myself sensible and awake. Beauty, are you feeling unwell? Let me take you to rest. Get lost. I pushed away the middle-aged man who was approaching me from behind and walked away quickly. I pressed the button for the 19th floor, and when I got out of the elevator, I saw a figure in front of me. It was actually Felix. I didn't know anyone in Jiangshi except him. Help me. I grabbed him. But I didn't expect his hand to be so hot. When I opened my eyes and regained consciousness, I was already lying on a big bed. Who sent you here? Felix was leaning on the sofa by the side, his clothes messy, with a cigarette in his hand. I looked down under the quilt. I was naked. Did I just have sex with Felix? Oh my God. This is not how things were supposed to go. His face loomed over me, his hands propping on either side of me, creating an overwhelming sense of oppression. I'll ask again. Who sent you here? His tone was cold, with no patience left. No one. No one sent me here. When I met his eyes again, I looked so wrong that I was about to cry. I glanced at the torn female server's shirt on the floor. I was just working part-time at the cocktail party. A man forced me to drink a glass of wine. Then I felt something was wrong and ran away. You? Did you? I didn't say the words, have sex with me. Half an hour later, his phone rang. I heard a voice on the other end. Young Master Felix, the surveillance video from last night has been sent to your phone. I watched him open the file on his phone, and then the entire cocktail party video played. Tell me, what do you want? He put down his phone, rubbed his temples, and looked down at me with a cold tone. I want you to take responsibility. Huh. Okay. He agreed without thinking for long. It made me a little embarrassed and surprised. What's your name? Wendy. Well, Felix. He stood up, took out his phone again, and said, "Send a set of women's clothes to room 1909. When his secretary sent me to a villa in the suburbs, I found out. He was actually the helm of the Fu group in Jiangshi. He was also the crown prince of Jiangshi's elite circle that no one dared to provoke. Young Master Fu. Felix. Miss Wendy, Mr. Felix will be back tonight." Mrs. Wang, the housekeeper of the villa, told me gently. I see. Since that day, Felix has kept me in this villa in the suburbs. To put it nicely, it's keeping a beautiful woman in a golden house. To put it bluntly, I had no official status. But I was happy with it. I didn't want to be reported on Jiangshi's headlines as a gossip. We got along very well. He lived in the villa most of the time. Felix was really good-looking, rich, and had great athletic talent. After dinner, he came out of the bathroom. I stood at the bathroom door and hugged his perfectly sculpted waist from behind. "Felix, I want to travel. Will you go with me?" I had been in Jiangshi for half a year and had never left. I obediently acted as a virtuous and well-behaved secret girlfriend. Felix held my hand, turned around to look at me. He had a standard smile on his lips. "Maybe later. I'm busy recently." Then he bent down and kissed the corner of my lips. His warm lips gradually moved down, landing on my earlobe, neck, and collarbone. With a big hand around my waist, he lifted me up, and we rolled onto the bed. I remembered that I hadn't taken my birth control pill this month, but the gasps in my ears and the heat all over my body made me forget about it. Half a month later, it suddenly occurred to me. This month's period didn't come as scheduled. The next day, with the medical checkup report in my pocket, I got on the plane leaving Jiangshi. "Felix, I can be your secret girlfriend, but that doesn't mean I can tolerate you having a fiancé behind my back." Moreover, she even came to me in person. However, that slap I gave Chloe was too easy on her. Who isn't a young lady anyway? 3 years later, I bought a pair of antique jade pendants from an auction in another city for my precious daughter and son. Just after getting off the plane in Haishi and walking out of the gate, "Wendy, stop right there." A cold and familiar voice sounded from behind. I paused when I heard the voice, and suddenly remembered who the owner of this voice was. Felix. Why was he so coincidentally at Haishi Airport? No, 3 years ago, he already had a fiancée. He might even have gotten married and had kids by now. How could he still remember me? He grabbed my wrist, and I turned around. Felix was wearing a black suit and leather shoes, still as cold and handsome as he was 3 years ago. His looks were so striking that people couldn't take their eyes off him. I met his cold and terrifying eyes. I said, "Sir, you've got the wrong person." He gripped my wrist even tighter. I seemed to have angered him. "You made me look for you so hard, Wendy." His eyebrows were cold, but there seemed to be something he was holding back in his eyes. "Wendy, who is he?" Another familiar voice sounded in my ear. It was actually my brother William. Why did he have time to come pick me up today? "Wendy, who is he?" Felix's eyes looked like they were about to kill someone. "Mommy. Mommy." In unison, 2 figures appeared from behind William. "Nathan, Sophia?" As my voice fell, the hand around my wrist gradually loosened. I had never seen Felix with such an expression. Dim and dejected. What was wrong with him? "Mommy, I missed you." Nathan hugged my calf and stretched out his hands, asking to be held. I looked at Nathan's face, which was so similar to Felix's, and my heart raced. He shouldn't have seen it clearly, right? Let's go home together." I turned around to block the view between Felix and Nathan, then picked Nathan up in my arms. A look of doubt flashed in my brother William's eyes, but he didn't ask more. "Come, Sophia. Let's go home." My brother picked up Sophia, pulled me, and turned around to leave. We left Felix alone where he stood. I carefully looked back at him. Why did he look so pitiful? But back then, he was the one who found a fiancée first. I thought the encounter at the airport was just a coincidence. But who would have thought? The next day, I met him again when I walked out of the villa gate. "We need to talk." His tone was as cold as it was when we first met 3 years ago. "Felix, I think we're both adults. Isn't it better to part on good terms?" I sat in his car. The scent of the aromatherapy I bought for him 3 years ago was still there. It was my favorite scent. Chloe was really generous. She hadn't made him change it in 3 years. Part on good terms? You call leaving without a word 3 years ago parting on good terms? Wendy, do you even have a heart? He grabbed my wrist, and it hurt a little. Is the only thing you came to ask me whether I have a heart? I looked up into his eyes, and suddenly felt a sourness in my heart. Young Master Felix, does Chloe from the Qin family in Jiangshi know you came to Haishi to find me? What is Chloe from the Qin family? Nothing. I had been with him for half a year, and I had never seen him with such a fierce look in his eyes. Zizi, the phone in my bag suddenly vibrated. I glanced at him, then answered the call. Miss Wendy, Nathan has a fever. It was the nanny at home calling. My heart skipped a beat. Nathan was fine yesterday. Okay, I know. I'll be right back. After hanging up the phone, I spoke to Felix. My son Nathan is sick. Take me back. Son. So those 2 kids yesterday are really yours? Are you married? I suddenly didn't dare to look directly into Felix's eyes. Why did he look like an abandoned little wolf dog? Otherwise? They're twins. They just turned 2 this month. In fact, the 2 kids had been over 2 years old for several months. I lied on purpose. So after you left me and left Jiangshi, you married that man in just a few months? And even got pregnant with his child right away. That man yesterday? My brother William? What does this have to do with you? Felix, we've already broken up. Broken up? Wendy, I never allowed you to break up. He gripped my wrist even harder, as if he was going to break my hand. It hurts. You can also feel pain? Do you know that I've been looking for you for 3 whole years since you disappeared? I'm the one who should be in pain. Wendy, will you get a divorce? That man can give you anything and I can too. No, wait, I can give you even better. His eyes turned red. He pulled my hand toward him and forcefully trapped me in his arms. I hadn't been in this embrace for 3 years. In these 3 years, it had even appeared in my dreams. Felix, take me back. Okay, I'll come again tomorrow. I didn't seem to recognize Felix at this moment. When had he, the dignified crown prince of Jiangshi, become so obedient? The next day, Nathan's fever had gone down, and he was resting at home. I took Sophia out of the villa, planning to go to the mall. Mommy, handsome uncle. Sophia was sitting in the car, pointing at the expensive luxury car by the side of the road. The car window was rolled down, and Felix's face was clearly visible. Mommy, uncle is handsome. I see, our Sophia is the beautiful one. I pinched Sophia's fair, soft little cheek. Sophia, who was over 2 years old, looked like me, while Nathan looked more and more like Felix. The family driver drove all the way to the mall, and Felix's car followed closely the whole time. Miss Wendy, do you need someone to deal with this? The driver looked at the car in the rearview mirror and asked me. No need, I know him. Okay, Mississippi. I held Sophia's hand and just walked into the mall gate. Wendy. That familiar voice sounded from behind. Mommy, it's the handsome uncle from just now. Before I could speak, Sophia looked at Felix, who was walking toward us, with bright eyes. I suddenly remembered the time I spent with Felix in Jiangshi. It seemed like we had never appeared together in such a public place. When I bought those bags and clothes, someone would send them directly to the villa for me to choose from. I gripped Sophia's little hand tightly, my nails almost digging into my palm. Felix walked over in a straight black suit. The platinum cufflinks on his cuffs reflected cold light. He was more and more like an addiction rooted deep in my heart. Obviously, I told myself that we were a thing of the past. But I still couldn't help but look at him one more time. Young Master Felix, do you have anything else to do? I stood sideways to block Sophia's curious gaze. I'll take you back to Jiangshi. He glanced at Sophia, who was blocked by me, then leaned close to my ear and whispered, Leave that man. Get a divorce. Felix, do you know what you're doing? I almost stepped back half a step out of instinct. That familiar cedar scent was as familiar as ever. 3 years ago, it was just a casual relationship between a man and a woman. We're over. Moreover, back then, your fiancée Chloe came to me directly and warned me, right? Felix, don't you think you're being ridiculous now? I suppressed the throbbing in my heart and tried to calm myself down. Chloe? She was never my fiancée. I had nothing to do with her. A flash of fierceness crossed Felix's eyes, as if this topic made him lose his composure. So you just left without a word? Disappeared for 3 whole years. Wendy, you have such a cruel heart. He suddenly grabbed my hand. Don't bully Mommy. Sophia came out from behind me and hugged Felix's slender legs. Otherwise I'll tell Uncle, and let him teach you a lesson. As Sophia spoke, her white little finger pointed at a poster in the mall. Exclamation point. Uncle. Felix's expression changed slightly, as if he noticed something was wrong. The person on that poster. William, is he your uncle? No. I interrupted his question and shook my head slightly at Sophia. Mom, didn't you say kids shouldn't lie? That's Uncle. Wendy. Felix gripped my hand even harder. In his eyes, there was hurt, doubt and confusion. He suddenly bent down to look at Sophia and asked in a soft tone, Tell Uncle, how old are you? If you do, Uncle won't bully your mommy. Sophia. I hurried to cover Sophia's mouth with my other hand. 2.5 years old. It was too late. 2.5, 2.5. Felix's eyes suddenly lit up. Wendy, you lied to me again. Novel translation. Wendy and Felix. Speak. Felix sat across from me. At this moment, we were on the top floor of the most high-end hotel in Haishi. The presidential suite. Have you been staying here since you came to Haishi? Wendy, stop digressing. You know what I want to hear. Actually, it wasn't really digression. He checked into this hotel and dragged me here. Soon, my brother should show up. Because this is a hotel under one high group. Since I appeared in the lobby, William should have received the news. Fine. Given his temperament, even if I didn't say anything, he would find other ways to verify his guess later. It's just as you think. When I left 3 years ago I was pregnant. Nathan and Sophia are your children. Moreover, I'm not married. The man you saw at the airport that day is my brother William. And before I was called Wendy, I had another name, Yuan. When I was 18, I went abroad and begged my family to change my name to the current one. Wendy. The only daughter of one high group. No wonder I couldn't find any of your original information. No wonder I couldn't find you for 3 whole years. Felix leaned back on the sofa, the corners of his eyes slightly red. Although Nathan and Sophia are genetically related to you, the one family is no worse than the Fu family. They must stay with me. So you think I'll take the kids away now? Knock. 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 There was a knock on the door. It seemed my brother had arrived. Felix glanced at me, as if warning me not to run away. Hand over Wendy. My brother, who was always gentle and mild-mannered, apparently knew that this man was the one who got me pregnant before marriage. Felix didn't resist at all and took 2 punches from my brother. I'll take responsibility, brother. Who's your brother? The situation suddenly got out of control. Brother, stop fighting. It was me who took the initiative to dump him. He didn't do anything wrong. I stood in front of my brother and shielded Felix behind me. His handsome face was now a bit disfigured. I didn't know what Felix and my brother talked about. Surprisingly, when my brother came out of the room, he was no longer angry. Wendy, Mrs. Wang is sick and hospitalized. Do you want to go to Jiangshi to see her? She has been living in the villa all these years. Mrs. Wang was the elder who cared about me the most in Jiangshi. When I lived in the villa that Felix gave me, she took care of all my daily needs and treated me very well. If you want to go, go. I'll take care of Nathan and Sophia. My brother spoke. It seemed he had reached some kind of tacit understanding with Felix. Okay. I didn't hesitate. Besides wanting to go to Jiangshi to visit Mrs. Wang, I also wanted to figure out what kind of feelings I really had for Felix now. The next day, Felix and I boarded the flight from Haishi to Jiangshi. Wendy, are you hungry? When Felix spoke to me, it gave me an illusion. It was as if we were back 3 years ago. Let's go to the hospital first to see Mrs. Wang. Okay. Hearing his unhesitating answer, I couldn't help but glance at Felix. He didn't seem as arrogant as he was 3 years ago. When we arrived at the hospital gate, Wendy, put on this mask. Felix handed me a mask. You've always had poor resistance. Be careful. Thank you. His carefulness touched my heart a little. Soon, we reached Mrs. Wang's hospital bed. Mrs. Wang, look who's here? Felix placed the bag full of nutritional supplements he was carrying beside the bed. Mr. Fu, why did you bring so many things again? It's just a minor illness. I'm fine. Miss Wen. Mrs. Wang's eyes suddenly turned red. She looked at me excitedly. Mrs. Wang, long time no see. Are you feeling better? I took the hand that Mrs. Wang stretched out, and my eyes couldn't help but get a little teary. Yes. Miss Wen, Mr. Fu finally found you. You have no idea how hard Mr. Fu has been looking for you all these years. Mrs. Wang. Felix interrupted Mrs. Wang. Mr. Fu, look at me, getting old and talking too much. I chatted with Mrs. Wang for a long time in the hospital. Seeing that Mrs. Wang wasn't seriously ill, I finally felt much relieved. It wasn't until we left the hospital that I suddenly realized Felix had used Mrs. Wang as an excuse to lure me back to Jiangshi. He was still that scheming young Master Fu. Are you hungry? I'll take you to try the new dishes at Royal Garden. At some point, Felix had asked the driver to bring the car I used to ride in often. Okay. The food at Royal Garden was still delicious. All my favorites. He clearly remembered my preferences. Have you eaten enough? Can we meet someone? He checked his watch on his wrist, and no obvious emotion could be seen in his eyebrows. Who? At this moment, the door of the private room opened. Who is this? I looked at the woman being pushed in. She looked so familiar. It was Chloe. What was Felix thinking? Was he trying to annoy me? With a thud, Chloe actually knelt down in front of me. Miss Wen, I'm sorry. Chloe's eyes were filled with tears, making her look like a haggard beauty. 3 years ago it was my fault. I shouldn't have gone to find you and told you to leave Jiangshi. The engagement announced by the media between the Qin family and the Fu family back then wasn't real. I bribed the media to make that report. Miss Wen, I'm sorry. At this moment, Chloe was nothing like the arrogant woman she was 3 years ago. Felix, I want to talk to her alone. I suddenly wanted to know what Chloe really wanted to say from the bottom of her heart. Her eyes were red from crying, but it seemed like she wanted to devour me. Okay. Call me if anything happens. Only Chloe and I were left in the private room. She supported her knees and slowly stood up. Speak. Now you can say what you want to say. I reminded her. Wendy, why did you come back? To see me make a fool of myself? It turned out that Chloe's previous appearance was just for Felix to see. Felix threatened me with the entire Qin family's future and made me come apologize to you. What kind of spell did you cast on him? Why? After 3 years. He still can't forget you. The day after you left Jiangshi, he called off the engagement that our parents had arranged between our 2 families. You made me a laughingstock in Jiangshi's elite circle. For you, he even took over the power of the Fu family in just 1 year. Do you know that to get that power, he can find Uncle Fu and Aunt Fu in the old mansion? And you, Wendy. I heard that now you're an unmarried mother, a cast-off that other men don't want. Yet he still treats you like a treasure. Why? Why is that? Chloe looked a little broken. Why? I splashed the cold tea in my hand on Chloe's face. What is the Qin family? Even if Felix didn't do anything, if I, Wendy, wanted to hold a grudge, I could make the Qin family never get back on their feet. The words, unmarried mother, really angered me. For 3 years, I've been raising 2 children alone. My biggest guilt is not being able to give them a complete family. 3 years ago, you quickly forgot about that 10 million yuan check I slapped on your face. As the only daughter of the one family, I've never suffered any losses since I was a child. Wendy, does Felix know that you're so arrogant and conceited behind his back? So what if he knows? Even if it was just a one-night stand that led to children, do you think I care? Chloe's eyes were filled with shock. She probably didn't expect me to say such a thing. Suddenly, her expression changed slightly. Are you saying that the children you gave birth to are from the Fu family? Impossible. Impossible. How could Felix let you? At this moment, Chloe's eyes were full of shock and disbelief. When we walked out of Royal Garden, Felix's expression didn't look good. I'll ask the driver to take you back to the villa. Don't worry, I won't come over. I originally wanted to say that I had already booked a hotel room myself. But looking at his gloomy face, I held back the words. After all, he had probably heard what I said about one-night stand in the private room. Me. The car is here. I just wanted to explain, but he interrupted me. The villa wasn't far from Royal Garden. It took the driver half an hour to get there. I entered the familiar password. Door opened. The sound of the smart voice was clear. Everything seemed unchanged. All the furniture and decorations in the villa were the same as before. The soft recliner beside the TV was still there. There were still my favorite white hydrangeas placed next to it. My heart seemed to have a crack. Countless tender feelings that touched my heart surged in. I lifted my foot and walked through the living room, then stepped onto the stairs leading to the second floor. The familiar bedroom was arranged just as I had left it. All the clothes, bags, and jewelry in the wardrobe were still there. It seemed there were even more additions. Felix. I whispered his name. At this moment, I was moved. I lay on the soft bed and thought about all the bits and pieces with him in the past. I love him. It's just that back then, I didn't seem to understand my own heart clearly. So when Chloe appeared in front of me, when I suddenly found out I was pregnant, and when I saw the trending topic on my phone, I just wanted to escape, to leave. Now, I really wanted to see Felix. Hello? A man answered the phone. Wendy? It's me. May I ask where Felix is? I felt a little anxious. Damn. Wendy, you really came back? I'm Gavin. Do you remember me? Young Master Fu is in a bit of trouble right now. Can you come over? Only you can make him listen, I think. Gavin rambled on a lot on the other end of the phone. I walked out of the villa. The driver who had sent me here was already gone. By the time I got a taxi and arrived at the place Gavin had mentioned, more than an hour had passed. As soon as I got out of the car, I saw Gavin looking anxious. He seemed more reliable than he was 3 years ago. Wendy. It's really you. You're my savior. Hurry up and take care of young Master Fu. I followed Gavin inside. It was a crowded bar. The music was deafening. Gavin led me into a private room. I've cleared everyone out. He's drunk too much, look. At this moment, Felix's suit jacket was thrown on the side of the sofa. He was wearing a white shirt, and the buttons under his neck were casually unbuttoned. I have to admit, even in his decadent state, Felix was still very handsome. I shook my head and pushed these messy thoughts out of my mind. Felix. I walked up to him and called out to him. He didn't seem to hear me. He downed another glass of strong liquor. His slender fingers picked up the wine bottle again and poured it into the empty glass. I grabbed his hand. Get out. The word got stuck in his throat as he looked up. Wendy? He put down the wine bottle and grabbed my hand instead. He pulled my wrist hard, and I stumbled forward toward him. Well, I'll wait outside first. Gavin raised his hand as if covering his eyes. No need. Send him back to the villa. Gavin and I supported Felix from left to right and got him into Gavin's car. When we arrived at the villa. Well, Miss One. Gavin helped Felix to the villa gate. Young Master Fu never lets anyone else enter this villa. So I'll have to trouble you. All right. I didn't know that Felix had such a strange house rule. What kind of weird territorial awareness was this? When Gavin saw that I agreed, he hurriedly turned around, opened the car door, stepped on the gas, and drove away. It felt like Felix was a hot potato. My shoulder suddenly felt heavy. Felix's arm was draped over me. I supported him and walked into the villa. Felix, haven't seen you for a few years, and you've become an alcoholic? I looked at his red-side face and couldn't help but complain. I supported him and went up to the bedroom on the second floor. I was already exhausted. Lie down. I moved his arm from my shoulder, but there was a big difference in our weights. I was pulled down by the weight of him falling onto the big bed. Get up. At this moment, Felix was actually pressing on top of me, lying on the big bed. Felix, sober up. I patted his face. Wendy, it hurts. Felix's hot breath brushed against my neck. Hurt? I didn't use any strength. I explained. It hurts here. Felix, who was pressing on me, propped himself up with one hand and looked down at me. He pointed to his chest. Wendy, I know. You're angry that I didn't handle someone like Chloe properly 3 years ago. I thought you would come to me. to listen to my explanation. But you suddenly disappeared. Vanished without a trace. Do you know how I felt back then? I searched all over Jiangshi for you. I almost turned the whole city upside down. I had no engagement with the Qin family. You were the only one in my heart. After you left, I realized that I couldn't live without you. He propped himself up with both hands on either side of me, and our eyes met. I saw his eyes, red and hazy, like an abandoned wolf cub. I originally thought that your willingness to come back to Jiangshi with me was a chance for me. But you said it was just a one-night stand that led to children, and you didn't care? Ha! Wendy. I surrender. I've lost to you completely, without any dignity left. He had heard what I said to Chloe in the private room, and it had really affected him. Felix, don't misunderstand. I was just saying that out of anger. I felt a little guilty. Are you going to coax me again? Just like before? Felix's voice was a little choked, as if he was holding back something. Before, you were so well-behaved and cute, always knowing what I wanted to hear. Wendy, come back to me, okay? His fingers gently brushed the strands of hair by my ear. The handsome face in front of me suddenly leaned closer. He bent down and kissed me. Our lips met. One of his hands supported the back of my head, and the other slowly wrapped around my waist. Things seemed to be getting out of control. The temperature in the room seemed to be rising continuously. Finally, when I was about to run out of oxygen, he ended the kiss. His hands trembled slightly as he stroked my eyebrows and eyes. Wendy, come back, okay? Then he leaned down, and his hot breath and trembling kisses fell on my neck. After 3 years, Felix still knew my weak spots. After a night of passion, the result was that my whole body felt like it had been taken apart and put back together. When I opened my eyes, I saw Felix lying on his side, staring at me. He really had a face that could charm me. Toxic. Wendy. That deep, soft voice came from his mouth. You. Turn around quickly. I actually felt a little shy. I raised my hand and pushed him lightly. A shiny object between my fingers made me pause. It was a big, dazzling pink diamond ring. It was on my fingertip. What is this? I prepared it 3 years ago. I felt my heart pounding wildly. Will you marry me? He sat up from the bed, looked at me seriously, and his eyes were filled with caution and unease. Even if it was a one-night stand, I accept it. His sudden words shocked me. I couldn't hold back anymore. I sat up and hugged him. Felix, can you be the proud you again? My heart ached. At this moment, I seemed to understand my own heart clearly. In these 3 years, I have met many outstanding men. But none of them could make my heart ache or flutter like this. After 3 years, Felix, it turns out I still only love you. Our fingers intertwined. I looked into his eyes and whispered to him. Felix's eyes turned red. Wendy, you agreed? I'll marry you. His lips were hot. His kiss fell. Our fingers intertwined, and I fell into his arms again.